The culture around ADVs and dual-purpose motorcycles has been getting better and better with every passing day. And in India, we have the Royal Enfield Himalayan and the KTM Adventure 390 at one end and the Honda CB500X at the other end. In between, we have a motorcycle which is quite big and the engine size is also similar to the Honda. It is the Benelli TRK. But why is it between these two segments, or the spectrum? Is because of the price point. But does it have what it takes to be a good ADV, a good dual-purpose motorcycle? Is it closer to the 390 Adventure, or is it a good rival to the Honda? Let's find out. I completely understand the appeal of the TRK. As I said before, it's a big bike, so it has that visual presence that people want on the road. In fact, I can easily imagine a lot of youngsters buying this because they want something which looks in your face and it gives them that street credibility. And you know what? When you actually ride this on the streets, people do stop and they look at it. We had people turning back and giving it repeated looks, so it definitely catches the eye. A person actually came up to us and said, "Is it the Tiger, which is by Triumph?" So it does have that huge big bike feel and visually a very strong statement. A major amount of mass is concentrated on the front end. Gas tank is 20 liters, which if you are very careful when you're riding, you can actually get some very good mileage as well. But let's be honest, this thing is not really going to give you something like the 150 or 200cc motorcycles. So it is going to be a little bit of a challenge, but yes, because the tank is so huge, you can get a decent amount of range out of this bike as well. Now, pushing on the design again and going towards the rear, it is a very accommodating place to be. A lot of bikes, they kind of taper out and become very narrow at the back, but this one is pretty straightforward, very square, and it also has a rack over here which can kind of take a small bag, and you can, if you don't want a pillion, then you can actually fit very big stuff, very big box, and yeah, probably enjoy your journey. Let's come to one of the main aspects when you ride, that is comfort. And the first thing which is extremely crucial whenever you're riding is the way you feel when you sit on the bike. And the TRK that way has a very sorted geometry. It's not the most ideal, but I'm going to come to that later. But for general city riding and even for long distance commutes, the geometry that you have is pretty bang on. You have a nice handlebar, the width is appropriately judged, and it's not something that you're going to feel tired after doing, say, a couple of hours of riding constantly. And the tank is also designed in a way that even if you're really tall, you can tuck in your knees properly under here. And it just gives you a very secure feeling as well behind the tank. So all that is very good. Because it's a dual-purpose motorcycle, you would be inclined to do a little bit of off-road kind of action. But the foot pegs for that kind of application are not placed in the most ideal position. I would have wanted them to be a little further back, because right now, if you stand and if you ride the motorcycle standing up on the pegs, your knees and the thighs, they get hindered by the tank. Now let's come to the weaker points, and the first and foremost is how exactly is the build quality of the TRK. We have seen in the past with some few other Benellis as well that they're not really the best when it comes to fit and finish, and it's not really the most sorted in terms of construction. There are plastic panels that seem like they have come out of a local shop, and one really glaring issue that I've not been able to accept is the exposed wires over here for the indicators and generally the illumination. The design is such that it just leaves you baffled. Why exactly could Benelli not integrate the wires inside or just get a proper housing for the wires? And on the handlebar, Benelli has given us two really cool words. They are Gran Turismo. Now, Gran Turismo basically means that this bike is made for long distances and it should not be a fussy bike at all. But it is a fussy bike, and I'll tell you why. It's largely to do with noise, vibration and harshness. The engine is reasonably strong. In fact, if you're just going about at a relatively decent pace, it's sedate. It's kind of when you open the tap properly that the engine feels very alive. But at regular speeds, very low speeds, it can be a little reluctant, it can be a little bothersome, and it's just a very confusing character from the engine. But that is again a very different matter to talk about. What I really did not like is the vibrations from this engine. You feel everything, right from the thighs and the knees, feeling vibrations through the tank. The handlebars really make your palms go numb, and that kind of messes up the whole riding experience, because even when you're doing say about 80 kilometers per hour in 6th gear, you're ticking at about 4,000 RPM. 4,000, that's it, and yet every bit of vibration just gets filtered through the body and into your body. So not a very pleasant experience when you're riding, and that goes for low speed ride to the way it goes in the mid-range, and it just becomes extremely amplified, extremely exaggerated when you're at the top end of the spectrum. So high speed riding with this motorcycle is definitely not recommended, because you're just going to feel very sore. It's best suited for mid-range, that sort of a good cruising speed. That sort of an application is going to be very nice for this one. In terms of numbers, the engine produces about 47 horsepower and 46 Newton meter, but both of those figures are actually produced really high up in the rev range. Torque, for example, comes in at 6,000 or little more than 6,000 RPM. And the less we talk about the power coming in at 8,500 RPM, the better, because you really don't want to stress the engine and rev it to that much. But even the torque at 6,000, that's not something that I expected. The gearbox is a 6-speed, and again, when you ride, you feel like it should have had one more ratio. For example, I'm going to come back and talk about the 80 kilometers speed example that I was giving you. 80 kilometers in top gear, that is 6, doing about 4,000 RPM. You really feel like there should have been another gear, and that's not because of the tractability issue or something. It's only because of the vibration that the engine causes throughout the bike, and it's not a very pleasant experience. Now the suspension. The front is a 50 mm upside down fork. The travel is about 135 mm, and the rear monoshock is adjustable both for preload and for rebound. So you would think that because of the travel being reasonably good, this is going to be a very plush motorcycle to ride, but that's again not the case. Strangely, it kind of feels like it crashes and it reaches the limit of the compression really very soon. And it's very odd, because I thought it's going to be a little softer experience, but no, it's not. The rear feels very rigid, and when you're leaning into corners, the rigidity of the suspension should give you a good compromise in favor of handling. That is exactly what you would expect, but that is also not the case, because there is no harmony between the front end and the rear. It just kind of feels very vague, and especially when you're going into a corner at constant throttle, it just does not behave the way you expect a bike of this sort, or the rivals do a much better job. Smaller rivals, even the Honda does a better job. So in terms of overall balance, this is a bit off. And it's even more strange because the bike rides on Pirelli Angel STs, and these tires we have ridden on some other motorcycles and they've performed phenomenally well. In this application for this bike, they just don't work. And because of the general nervousness of the bike, you don't even have a great amount of confidence when you really press hard on the brakes. It's a dual channel ABS, but I think the progression of the braking performance could have been slightly better, and the bike could also have been slightly more aggressive. But one very good thing about this motorcycle is the ground clearance. It is 190 millimeters and the seat height is relatively low at about 800 millimeters. So you get the ground clearance, but you also get a good level of seating posture so that you're able to keep both your feet on the ground. Even shorter riders are not really going to have a lot of trouble. So to sum it up, you get a bike with more features in the form of KTM 390 Adventure, and you get a better overall motorcycle with the Honda CB 500X. This one in the middle is exactly that. It's just hanging in the middle, because in terms of the features that it has, in terms of electronic interferences, which are very good in some bikes and very bad in some, this one does not have anything at all. And then you start to wonder, what is it that really makes this stand out? And that is what I said in the beginning. It is a very good motorcycle to flaunt to your friends in terms of visual appeal. So it's a good flaunt item to have, but nothing more than that.